How do I know if my book is badly designed? Continued, part 2. So the second half of the top 10 ways to spot a badly designed book is going to start with number 6, cramped interiors. We're going to be talking a lot about the interiors in this particular video. A cramped interior means you may have 50,000 words and you're trying to fit it into a 40 or 30,000 word book, but you're worried about paying that extra money for those extra pages. Trust me, those extra pages are really like a penny a piece. They're not that much money. And the value you get by stretching your book out and not having tiny type and no leading. Leading is that space between each line. It's that air. That air actually makes it for an easier read. Their studies have shown that if you have too cramped a copy within your book, somebody may read the first couple pages and they're just going to put it down and not finish it because it actually hurts our eyes to read it. It's worth it to let your designer spread it out and do it right. The 7th possibility for a badly designed book is how they start the chapter. Traditional books will always start, your chapter starts on the right-hand side. So if you open up a book on the right-hand side of that gutter in the middle, typically on traditional books, that's where the chapters start. Now that may leave a page on your left-hand side, which may be blank, but it's a much more traditional, professional way of preparing your book. If you have a novel, sometimes those novels will just automatically keep the chapters running back to back. But for nonfiction books, you want your chapter to always start on the right-hand side and make it easy to read and make people know, have a larger font for the title of the chapter or the number of the chapter so that people know we're starting over. There's a new thought here. The 8th reason to recognize if a book is badly designed is if you have too short of a chapter. You don't want to have like a 2,500 word chapter, which is going to be around 10 pages in your book, and then all at once have a 250 word chapter, which is 1 page, or a 500 word chapter, which may be 2 pages. So you want to make sure that you're working with an editor that can help you condense some of those larger chapters and maybe stretch out some of your shorter chapters, because it's another one of those things that makes your book an easier read. The next thing you want to be aware of is no running heads. Now, what this means is at the very top of your book, when you open up your book on the inside, the very top of the page, there's usually on the left-hand side, it'll say the title of your book, and on the right-hand side, in little tiny mice type, it'll say the title of that chapter. What that helps with is when you're in the middle of reading a book and you kind of forget where you are, what's the title of this chapter? You can always go back up and look at the top at those tiny running heads, is what they're called in traditional publishing speak. You want to make sure that those running heads are there and not too tiny, because you still want to be able to read it, but they're not necessarily the first thing you want somebody to read when they turn the page. The 10th, where are we? The 10th number of what is called a badly designed book item is not to have page numbers. That's a big no-no. I know you can hardly imagine anybody that wouldn't put page numbers on their book, because for me, it's like, okay, where am I? Am I a third of the way through the book? Am I halfway through the book? Or even if you want to reference it in a talk, it's always great to have that page number in there. You'd be surprised how many people forget that, oh yeah, we need page numbers. Now, when we design books, we give you options of whether you want your page number centered on the book, in the very bottom, or at the very top, far right. We give you options so that you can take a look at what it looks like and figure out where it's going to look best for your particular layout. So those are the top 10 topics for your badly designed book and what to watch for. You can find the first 5 on the previous video. I've just given you the last 5 for the total of 10. I'm Kathy Davis, daviscreativepublishing.com. We help you grow your business by the book.